Hello everyone, welcome back. This is going to be an example about sources in electrical circuits. It's our first example video. So in this example, I'm giving you two circuits. Each of these circuits has two sources. For example, the circuit to my left has a 5 amp independent current source and a 2I dependent voltage source. And exactly the same thing is happening to the circuit on my right. Here's the 5 amp independent current source. Here is the 2I dependent voltage source. The only difference in those circuits is that there is a device in each one of them. Here's device A to my left, and here's device B to my right. Device A is absorbing 5 watts of power, so it's a load that requires 5 watts to operate, while device B is a 7 watt load. The question that we want to find here is what is the voltage value supplied by the dependent source in each circuit. So we said that each one of the sources has a value V which is equal to 2I, and would like to find exactly what that value is in volts. So if I look at the circuit of my right, this current I is clearly the current that comes out of my independent current source. And since the independent current source has a value of 5 amps, it means that this current I is equal to 5 amps. And so that means that this voltage V is equal to 2I, therefore this is equal to 10 volts. Now let me look the circuit to my right, the circuit right here to my right. The current I is also the same current that comes out from the 5 amp independent current source. So this I, therefore, is still 5 amps. And that means that the voltage for the dependent voltage source, which is 2I, will still be 10 volts here. So this is an interesting example because I have a dependent source in here and in here. The mathematical expression for that dependent source is the same, V equals 2I, V equals 2I. The controlling variable, meaning the current I, is the same current that flows in the circuit, and the value of the voltage ends up being the same, 10 volts in both of them. So even though we're calling this a dependent source, and even though the circuit that this source is connected to is different in each case, you can see that this circuit here is different than this circuit here, the value of the dependent source is exactly the same, 10 volts in each scenario. Well, you might say, well, wait a second, then what is changing here? Well, what is changing is the current that this device will draw. So if I call this current IA and I call this current IB, these are the two currents that the loads will draw, they will definitely be different in each case. So for example, the current IA will be equal to the power that this load requires, which is 5 watts, divided by the voltage drop across it, which is 10 volts. Equivalently, I can say that IB, the current that now the load B will request and will draw from the circuit, it will be equal to the amount of power it needs, 7 watts, divided by the voltage drop across its terminals, meaning the voltage right here, which is of course is equal to 10 volts. So what is changing in that circuit is that the current that each load is drawing is different, but the voltage of the dependent source is exactly the same, even though the circuits are different. So thanks for solving this example with me, and we'll see you next time.